The moment you stop a story, you cease to exist. That's why it's so difficult. The little mind, the ego, doesn't want to let go. Everything is tied to a story. There is only the stillness, the witness, the self, and everything else is activity, action, shakti, movement. So how can we be in the realm of shakti, activity, and be without activity? Well, do you remember where we were, where we left off? It's been a while, no? 5 weeks, I think. Yes? We've completed 2 chapters. And for all intensive purposes, from Lord Krishna's point of view, everything he has to say to Arjuna, he said in the 2nd chapter, right? Sankhya Yoga, he spoke about Karma Yoga. I mean, he said it all, the highest of knowledge for the ultimate goal. He's given it all. But then there's 16 more chapters. How come? Because Arjuna was like the rest of us, right? It wasn't enough. I mean, how many times Gurudev has probably told us, even in the very first sutra, I belong to you, he said it faster than Lord Krishna, but you know, here we are, some of us 35 years later, and some of us whatever many years later, but it doesn't quite register. But the beautiful thing is, if you notice, every time Arjuna asks a question, somehow it's a natural question that comes to all of us. Right? Have you noticed that? How many of you noticed? Yeah, it's a natural question that you start to think about, and then that's the very next question Arjuna asks. So, we're starting chapter 3, Yoga of Action, Karma Yoga. Right? Yoga of action. But he already gave some sutras in chapter 2. Because after he gave Sankhya Yoga, the highest of knowledge, Advaita if you will, in that chapter they call it Yoga of Buddhi or Yoga of intellect or wisdom. No, that's how it's called. But we can call it Advaita, Vedanta if we want to for now, for our purposes. After he gives that, Arjuna asks a question. He goes back to the same sort of place that he was in chapter 1. So then Lord Krishna says, one of the main sutra was, you have the right to action but not to the result. And that got us stuck for a long time. Maybe we still are, doesn't matter, but we had a lot of conversation about it. That's what I was saying. That we can choose to act, but what comes out of that action, we have no say in it. And the results are based on many things. Ultimately, it's the universe, but many things, including our own past actions. Correct? Our samskaras. So that's where we left off. All right? I think what we'll do is start with chapter 3 of the Yoga, Bhagavad Gita commentary, Yoga of Action by Gurudev, and we'll listen to it for 10-15 minutes, and then we'll stop and start with Mala chanting the sutras. Good? Before I do that, did you all do the homework from the last time? You remember it? What was the homework? Don't talk about your past. No stories. Remember that? Look, I know that it was hard to do because I was also trying to do the same for that 1 week. We had the exercise, you know. Why? The moment you stop a story, you cease to exist. That's why it's so difficult. The little mind, the ego, doesn't want to let go. Everything is tied to a story. Everything. We want to go back and bring it into this moment. The moment we stop saying where I come from, why I did it, how I did it, what the ramifications of that, what that'll mean, The moment we do that, you stop to exist. It's hard to find the small I. That's what I mean by you stop to exist. It's very difficult. Then you just are. It's not just that we get uncomfortable with the silence or the pause or that awkward pause. It's that now what? Now where do I go? Now who am I? The identity to events, things, people, emotions, situations, ideas, likes, dislikes, who, what, where, when, it all stops. And I was able to do it like 3 days quite well when I was around lesser people, meaning not the satsang group that I was in, but even so, it was not easy. I don't know what you found. Anyone have a particular experience before I turn the video on? Just 1 or 2 sharing. Anybody? Did you do it? You did. Okay. Pramod, go ahead. Deneen, you're next.
My experience was that when you're not allowed to talk about the past, the events, then it's difficult to have a conversation, because I was noticing that a lot of the conversation has a reference to the past, whether it's the immediate past, an hour before or a week before. So it's almost like then you're sitting and the mind catches, oh, this is about the past, this is about the past. So it felt like most of the conversations were related to something in the past, event, person, experience.
Even when it's about the future, we take the past to make the point for the future. That was one of the things I noticed. How many of you noticed that? Yeah. And have you ever seen, like, you're sometimes sitting in a car with Gurudev and it's like your chance to go. You know how we handpick who sits in the car and the person in the back is waiting to tell their story. Or even when he's in a room, like when he's sitting there or when you walk, and he just starts sort of putzing around, looking here, there, or he's not really, I mean, he's not that he's not listening, and then he'll sort of hurry you along. He's not really like wanting to hear the story. He's just like, get to the question, without saying so, what is? Like, there's that thing of, but we have the story and the explanation and then the question. And if he stops you in the middle, I know that's happened to me a lot of times, where I want to say something and he stops and he immediately answers. My first thought is, but I didn't get to tell him the whole story. Oh, he doesn't know about that or this, or he doesn't need to know. We'll discover that as we go into this chapter 3, 4, and 5, I think just keep elaborating on Karma Yoga. So as we go into it, we'll see and how much of our day is filled with that stuff. And I say still stick to that homework. You don't have to do it for weeks or days on end, but you could decide from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, I'll practice that. And then go back to wherever. But did you notice you were very aware? Even if it was difficult not to, that's the whole point. You're present. The intellect, the memory, the thoughts that are moving in the mental field get illuminated by the light, by the self. So that keeps going. But there was some part of you within that field of mind stepped back, watching that. You were aware as to the challenge that's there in that moment while you're trying to speak. Yes? That's it. That's enough of a game to be present to the moment for right now, because that's where we are. We have 16 more chapters to go, so let's just keep asking the questions and follow Arjuna along, because like I said, there's 9 billion people of us, at some degree or another, Arjuna asking the questions, okay? So let's, Mala, we have a little bit of time. Let's begin chapter 3 and go into it, at least discuss. Now again, listen, the obvious is there. The entire Mahabharata, what is the struggle? About me and mine. Every single character in Mahabharata is caught up in me and mine. This is clear, right? You remember that. If you think about any character, especially for those of you who know all the characters, you will see whether it's Bhishma or Dhritarashtra or, Kunti or the brothers. It doesn't matter who it is, everybody's fighting for what they consider me or mine. Yes? And Arjuna is also fighting the same thing. This is not a discussion on whether war is good or bad. This is not a discussion on whether we should be, for violence or against violence. None of those things are there. Arjuna is very, very clear. His struggle right now is me and mine. The people across from me are mine. That's why I don't want to fight. If they were strangers, I'm ready to kill and take back my kingdom. If they're strangers, if I don't know them, I'm ready to kill and protect my wife's honor. Correct? Every single character in the Mahabharata is struggling with that. The battlefield is exactly what we're in the world. Every single one of us is struggling exactly with that, me and mine. What I consider me boosts me. I want to protect it. I want to preserve it. I want to do whatever I can to make sure that I am okay. And what I consider mine, whether it's kids or ideas, things or ideas, doesn't matter, I fight for those things. I want to preserve, I want to protect. Why? Because it boosts my ego. My kids are doing well, I feel good. My kids are not doing well, I don't know how I feel. It doesn't matter what it is. The car I drive, the car is an extension of me. It's a good car, I feel good about myself. It's not a good car, I don't feel so good about myself. It's a lame little example, but I just need you to remember again, every piece of the struggle that has led Arjuna in this battlefield is entirely around me and mine. And why we are in the same battlefield, he's in an extreme state of fighting war, but it applies to us today because every fight we have, ideas, my way, the other way, how come they do it that way, why not this way? Neither idea has been tested, but we get caught up in it. I can speak for myself for sure, where my mind sees something and it's so caught up in itself about that's the better way or that's what we should do, and it holds it tightly. And again it has to remind itself, me has to remind it within the same field, fine, just let it go. Yes? And that's how we've now gotten to Karma Yoga, because Arjuna cannot let go. Gurudev meaning Lord Krishna, gave the highest of knowledge to him. Verse by verse, I think chapter 2 was like 67 or 68 verses, 70 verses, many verses. And he's gone through it one at a time, one at a time. You are the soul, you are not the body, you have never been born. Everything that you can think of pointing to, Sat, Chit, Ananda. And yet, Arjuna is back to me and mine. Is this clear? This you cannot forget, because this is really our battle for all of us. All right? Let's begin. Chapter 3, verse 1.
Arjuna uvacha jyayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani gore mam niyojayasi keshava.
Arjuna said, Krishna, if you consider knowledge as superior to action, why then do you urge me to do this dreadful action, Kesava? Problem number 1. We can't even go to verse 2. What's the first? He's saying, okay, Krishna, because he's trying to escape. He's continuously trying to escape what he doesn't want to do. It sounds familiar to all of us. It's not Arjuna. We do that for the smallest of things. You don't want to see the person in front of you, you look over there. That's trying to escape. We avoid constantly. We never go lean into what is in front of us. So he's still wanting Lord Krishna to say, yes, Arjuna, you're right, it's okay, go. He doesn't want to do it himself, because he could say, Krishna, I don't care what you say, I'm out of here. That's not what he's willing to do. He doesn't want the responsibility, doesn't want the consequence. It's exactly what Gurudev just got through saying, cause and effect. We just want to change the effect without looking at the cause. Correct? He wants to change the effect. He wants out of that war. He's doing his level best, and he's wanting validation from Krishna. Like how many times we say, Gurudev said. We don't know what he said. We lose 100 things in translation, but that gives us all the right to do and say whatever we want and drag a lot with us. You know, very recently had proposed a full program to Gurudev. He gave an okay. He went to India. He sent some information. He sent a particular document, the whole thing. And this morning I got 2 contrary messages. One saying go and here are the parameters. The other one saying Gurudev said to wait. Something got lost in translation. I don't know who interjected in there and Gurudev said. I'm sure he said. But what happened in between, I don't really know. And we use that a lot. And Arjun is wanting that validation where Lord Krishna says, okay, go, it's fine, I agree with you. So he keeps coming up with amazing arguments. And so now his argument is, oh my God, Krishna, I agree with you, the highest of knowledge. I'm not the body, no one's died, you don't get anything, all those amazing things. Why don't I follow that? Why are you telling me now to act? So what is his mistake? He thinks that Lord Krishna gave him 2 different options. It's one or the other. Yes? If we don't watch, we also could get in that same trap. It's not he's saying do this or that. It's not one or the other. It's that since you cannot live the knowledge, do this. Karma, action, that will do some of the things. Sorry, you hear the sirens? You're okay? What is he saying? Since you cannot live the knowledge, since you're not ready to embrace who you really are, who they all really are, Sat, Chit, Anand, that everything is being run by a higher power, and since you have been trained, conditioned into acting, choosing, thinking you do, then here's what you do, act. And he'll unpack it, Lord Krishna will unpack it. But first confusion, it's not really that Arjun he didn't catch it and we suddenly catch it. Remember, he's in crisis. Right? His small mind wants to get out of what he doesn't want to do. He's really struggling. So the ego, the small mind, is pushing to create justification and reason and rationale. He's out of equanimity, what Gurudev just spoke about, out of balance. He cannot see with a higher lens or a higher altitude. He's in the midst of it, like when we go through something challenging and we go to somebody else who might look at it from another perspective or a higher lens, wider lens, right? So that's why he sees, because it's another sly way, like we do that to Gurudev also, many, many times. Yeah, Guruji, but, what but? Like he doesn't know. You know, we try to find a very clear, sneaky way to move towards, maybe it's not purposeful. It's happening on the subconscious level. I'm not suggesting that it's all like planned out. Arjun is not sitting there trying to trick or avoid in that sense. This is conditioning. Are you with me? Yeah? So again, it is not an either or journey. Since you couldn't do that, now let's look at this. Right? Verse 2.
व्यामिश्रेणेव वाक्येन बुद्धिं मोहयसीव मे तदेकं वद निश्चित्य येन श्रेयो अमाप्नुयाम्.
Now look what he says. You are, as it were, puzzling my mind by these seemingly conflicting expressions. Therefore, tell me one definite discipline by which I may obtain the highest good. He sounds super surrendered, right? Yes? Yes. Shake your head one way or the other. What do you guys think? He sounds like, okay, Lord, I'm confused. You are puzzling me. Okay, yeah, can you just imagine Gurudev sitting there trying to puzzle you while you're asking questions? It's possible. I mean, he could do that, but that's what he's saying. In the middle of the battlefield, Lord Krishna, you're puzzling my mind. Conflicting expressions, maybe that's accurate, I don't really know. Therefore, tell me one definite discipline by which I may obtain the highest good. Number one, he wants to do the one thing in which he can get the most. You know, that sounds a little more greedy and strategic than surrendering. No? If you look at it, you know? But also he's saying, tell me one thing. Like he's trying to absolve himself of any responsibility or choice. But remember, in chapter 2, Bhagwan already said you have the right to act. So even if Lord Krishna tells you, it's still up to you whether you do it or not. It's your choice. You know, and the other thing we don't seem to really get, we get caught up in this, unless it's a direct experience, an enlightened will never just point you to the way so you avoid the lesson you have to learn. If Lord Krishna told him, go do this, Arjun, he would not have learned all the things he has to learn between chapter 3, verse 2, and chapter 18, the last verse. Correct? Because in the end, in chapter 18, it appears, we've heard it from Gurudev many times, that this thing actually does happen. In a way, Lord Krishna says at the very, okay, I'm fed up. I told you everything I have to tell you. I told you what to do. Now you stop giving me a headache. You do it. Do whatever you want. Remember, even in the very end, Lord Krishna nudges Arjun to choose. Choice of action. We already heard from Gurudev. That is what yield our karma. And what Arjun says is not tell me what is best. At the end, what we hear, Arjun, we haven't gotten there, but he says, okay, I give up. I'll do as you say, without that extra sentence. You know, if you look at life, like, I speak for myself. I think it's true whenever you see people. We don't go to Gurudev so much so that we are in alignment with the divine force. Are you listening to me? Really pay attention. We do not ask questions to Gurudev. It has come to my awareness like so many times, so that we're in alignment with whatever the divine will is. Because if that were our goal, we wouldn't have the question. We'd just go with it. Are you with me? Are you listening? That's not why we go. We go because we want to avoid difficulty. We want to find a certain way to be more comfortable, more at ease. We want what Arjun is saying. Tell me what's good for me. What's better for me? Better can be easier, transactionally more whatever. It's more of something that we want. That is our question. That's very, very different from saying, I'm surrendered to thy will. If you were really surrendered, we wouldn't have the question, what should I do? How should I do it? Should I move? Should I stay? Should I eat? Should I, take this medicine? Do you understand? Because I'm afraid, like I have to take some meds. I'm afraid of the consequence of the meds, so then I'm going to go to Guruji. And it's not because it's the divine will that I'm surrendered to, because if I knew that, and it has gotten stronger over the years where my mind says, okay, whatever prasad you give me, I will embrace. Not prasad that is good and that is positive and that is uplifting and that makes my life easy and that makes me comfortable. Are you following me? Thy will is whatever you give me is prasad. And if we really stop to think about it, it is only in the challenges that the light gets through. It's only in the wound does the light come through. Now you are, no, come on. the look on your face now is like, come on, Didi, really. But it's really true. In all the years of travel and teaching and the number of people and satsangs and knowledge and all of that, I can truly really say that whatever degree of humbleness or whatever degree of internal drishti, internal looking, if I had to balance it with like 30 years on one side and 5 years on the other side, I would say this 5 years kicked me inward in a place that this 30 years of quote seva was not doing. Do you understand? It's not that there wasn't being an instrument and a vehicle for something. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about me. We do oftentimes in this organization get caught up in the reverse of the sutra, where we serve ourselves and teach others. Really what we're supposed to do is we are supposed to learn and serve others. Are you hearing me? And it's very easy when life is hunky-dory. Gurudev already said that. When everything is great and you are seemingly still and silent and good and happy no. You're Arjun asking and gaining more. So it has shifted. At whatever level, we are on a journey, just like Arjun. I have 16 chapters to go. You have 16 chapters to go. How long we each go through each chapter is entirely God's will and our purusharth, our effort. But this is a good sutra to take away, which is whatever you give me, let thy will be. Give me the strength to embrace it with a smile, because it's prasad. God is not sitting there trying to punish us. It's not sitting there trying to, oh, you did this, so now you have to do that. It's not that. That's part of the equation. But you did this, now you get that, because it's going to take you to your greater, higher good, because you're going to empty out some karma, because you're going to purify the mind, because you're going to release vasana, because you're going to say, oh, this world is empty and my hands are empty and there's nothing in it. Nothing. Are you with me? So, he sounds super surrendered and all of that, and he's asking for one decision. And I think this is a huge thing to remind ourselves, me, myself, you, as we're talking and sharing together, is the divine never tells you what to do. And you have heard Gurudev many times say, I don't tell people anything, no. I'll tell you a short story. I don't know why this story pops in my head again and again. So this was one of our devotee teacher was in a relationship, and she went to Gurudev. I happened to be in his room. She came in, long story short, she talked about, I would like to marry this person, I'm ready, but I don't know if he's ready. And Gurudev was kind of looking for things, and it seemed like a very big, serious, important conversation, you know how it is. And he just kind of looking around, like these, takes the orange out and kind of tosses the orange towards the person. And as he's tossing, he says, does he have a job? And she catches the, orange, looks, bows down. Good, go. Then she leaves. I pack up his prasad, meaning food, thali and all. I also go out, and when I go out, she's standing there, kind of crying and a little sad. And he was a musician, the gentleman that she wanted to be with, marry. And when I go out, she goes, I can't believe it. He doesn't like me. The yada story, yada, 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 yada. That story was there, and I heard something because I'm outside of the equation, not because any better or worse, but I'm outside of the equation. And he didn't even talk to me. Like, does he have a job? He gave me an orange. I don't know what to do, and I'm leaving tomorrow, blah, blah. And then I said, but I think he said something to you, no? Isn't that it? And normally, my mouth would have popped it open like, come on, he gave you an answer. Look at what he said. But maybe I was tired, who knows, so nothing popped out of the mouth at that moment. I just kept holding the thali because I was a little on that, and I went and left. Some short time later, and she flew back to wherever she was going. Some short time later, I saw her. Oh, hi, how are you? Did you ever marry that man? Oh, no, it was driving me crazy. He lived with his mother, and he wasn't getting a job, and I can't be with someone who doesn't have a job. I need stability. Are you catching on? This is how it works. The divine moves us in our life, because, she can't stand, she needs stability. Okay, go over there. Okay. And obstacles come along the way. You get an orange and you appear to be thrown out of a room, while it's a drama. And we kind of have thought that especially the minute we come in front of spirituality and Gurudev, then we somehow think we're so holy and we're really, nothing. We're just as big of runners and avoiders as anybody else out there. Unfortunately, sometimes it's wrapped in really beautiful wrapping paper. No? And no, I'm not saying something that you might be hearing. Hear what I'm really saying. Stay alert. Stay alert, because you hear the answer Lord Krishna is giving. You cannot avoid. You, in the end, must always walk. And of course, Krishna will get to how you do not have to, which is what Arjun does almost towards the end. Yeah? Are we good? Are we good here? Okay, it's 7:15 we end, so let's read a couple more. 3.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Lokesmin Dvividha Nishtha Pura Prokta Maya Nagha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam.
Shri Bhagavan said, Arjun, in this world, 2 courses of sadhana or spiritual discipline have been enunciated by me in the past. The Guru again and again and again, the knowledge is given. Lord Krishna is saying the same thing. I told you guys 1,000 times. I'm you, you're me, I'm here with you, you relax, everything's taken care of. I love you, chill out, don't worry, just go do your thing. Know that you're doing it for me. You've heard it all, right? Know that you're doing it for me. Be my hands and feet. That's what Krishna is saying to Arjun here. Shri Bhagavan said, Arjuna, in this world, 2 courses of sadhana or spiritual discipline have been enunciated by me in the past. In the case of the Sankhya Yoga, the sadhana proceeds along the path of knowledge, whereas in the case of the Karma Yogi, it proceeds along the path of action. We just discussed that, right? Verse 4.
Na karmana manarambhan naishkarmyam purushoshnute na cha sanyasana deva siddhim samadhigacchati.
Man, still the Lord is speaking, man does not attain freedom from action without entering upon action, nor does he reach perfection of the discipline of knowledge merely by ceasing to act. Listen, it's not as convoluted as it sounds. I'm leaving out the parenthetical information, all right? Man does not attain freedom from action without entering upon action. It's really what I had just said a few minutes ago, right? You do in the end have to act to find freedom from action. But look, nor does he reach perfection, meaning enlightenment, if you will, merely by ceasing to act. All right, so this happens a lot, right? You go through the part 1 course and you do part 2, and then you see teachers up there and they seem to have the life. But they seem to have the life, like, wow. They sit there and they teach and they make an impact and they're so amazing. And if you see Philip, he's teaching 3 times a month. He's in knowledge and he gets to meditate. And I think I want to be a Swami. Huh? Swami only means you're going to do more action for others. Seva. Correct? We want to escape spirituality by, I will go into the mountains. If you've ever been to Rishikesh, you'll see so many people who decided they're going to stop being part of the mess of the world and go to Rishikesh and go into the mountains, and the dreadlocks are there or whatever, the dhoti and everything's there, and you still have to eat, if nothing else. You cannot attain perfection by escaping action. Why? Because Gurudev's first sentence in today's video was what? Life is complex. Life is a combination of stillness and activity. And if you think about it, there's only 2 things. There is the self, Sat Chit Anand, and everything else is action. Because it's Shakti. Remember this verse, this conversation had come up before. There is only the stillness, the witness, the self, and everything else is activity, action, Shakti, movement. So how can we be in the realm of Shakti, activity, and be without activity? Did you fall asleep on that one? Did you? It's a little mind-blowing if you think about it, because everything else, so our body, our mind, our intellect, our memory, everything we do, everything we think, everything we believe in, every emotion, every idea, everything is in the realm of movement, except for the witness self, if you think from this perspective. Then the fact that we have a body, digestion happens, circulation happens, we have to eat, we sleep, we wake up, we dream. Dreaming is action, it's activity. It may not be the action the way we think about it, but there's movement. Everything is movement. So how can you have no action? And yet somehow we're trying to do that. Oh my God, if I didn't have a job, what would you do? I would just sit and meditate all the time. No, you'd sit and think about acting. I could be like Philip, teaching right now. Instead, I'm meditating. I need to meditate. I need to teach more. Yes or no? Are you catching on to what I'm saying? Remember, Gurudev mentioned, only when you go past the 3 gunas do you have some impact on what is happening. Now, to meditate, you need some degree of sattva, correct? We are all moving with rajas, tamas, sattva continuously. And depending on our mindset, I'm not talking about the gunas just in the body, the gunas of the mind also. Right? If you recall, in chapter 2, there was a conversation around the caste. But we were talking about mindset. Based on the type of mindset you have, you do what you do. Remember that whole thing? Yes or no? Everybody? So just think about this. If the mind is filled with rajas, meaning the impressions, if our vasanas are filled with rajas, and then you try to meditate, what will come up? Thoughts of rajas. Activity, doing, achieving, accomplishing, should be, could be, would be. You know, it had occurred to me, I had a meeting yesterday. Philip and I went to meet with somebody, and this gentleman is sort of a fast talker with all kinds of ideas, you know, used to manage musicians like Sting and Michael Jackson, this level of people. And we had gone to just talk to him, and because he had come here by chance on an event Gurudev did, satsang, and he said something, so I kind of wanted to pick his brain in terms of what he saw and what his experience was, because I wanted a beginner's mind's perspective, you know. And we just talked, and when we drove away, Philip said, "What did you think?" I said, "You know, I didn't. I just wanted to hear him out, and I just felt like it was positive. I don't know how." And then I go to sleep. For me, I need to go to sleep, and then I wake up with chuk, 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 you know, clarity. And talking about what we're discussing now, my mind was like, I was wondering, because I knew this it's going to be yoga of action. This is what will be coming up today evening. So my mind was sitting with it, and I thought, it seems like I did nothing. Yet, this mind had the notions of creating and producing, and let's do something. And it occurred to me, that's incomplete vasana. Do you understand what I'm saying? On the one hand, my mind is saying, okay, enough, I'm 62, and if this organization is going to do whatever it's going to do, I don't need to do it anymore. Unless there's ease and smoothness in the support, I don't need to think about it, because at the back end, already things start to erupt. And then it occurred to me, yes, it's intuition, and yes, to some degree, there's some sort of grace that comes through after meditation or after sleeping. You wake up with the light on something that's going on. But at the same time, I'm continuously the person who, even though she's fed up, tired, given up, frustrated, you know, sick, healthy, doesn't matter. Oh, what if we did this? These ideas keep coming. And then it occurred to me this morning on my way to an appointment that, I have some unfinished karmas. I have to finish something. And the only way to find freedom in it is either Gurudev will free me of it, or to give my 100% to something, which we already discussed in chapter 2. Are you following me? Because now you look a little perplexed. This is very much chapter 2. You cannot be without action. And as much as we sit around saying, I'm not going to bother with that, and I'm not going to bother with that, if you don't live out what continuously keeps coming up in you, all you're doing is burying the rajas or the tamas. And the test is what? I'll give you a test. Here's a test. For the next 2 minutes, just close your eyes, or when we get off here, just close your eyes and only bring to your awareness the notion of connecting with a higher power, this divine essence. I am that, and that is me. How long do you think it'll be there? You will not make it to 2 minutes. We do not make it to 2 minutes. 10 seconds, 20 seconds is enormous. You're Einstein in the field of meditation if you get it to 20 seconds. Immediately some thought will come, and notice the kinds of thoughts that come. This is an indication. I'm not saying don't meditate, so please don't misunderstand. I'm saying this idea that, if I didn't have this and if I didn't have that, then I'd be sitting around meditating and I would do Guruji Seva. Whatever you got going on in there, you got to deal with it. Move through it consciously in the way it will be described through these next 2-3 chapters, I suppose. Are you hearing what I'm saying to you? We're continuously, just like Arjuna, continuously trying to escape and get away from it and not really look at ourselves. The biggest guide is the mirror at some level. Honest look in the mirror. It takes courage. No? And Gurudev, he lets you see in the mirror to the degree that you can see. He's the cleanest, purest mirror, but it's too much for us, so we don't really see clearly. We always project. And we have a glimpse where we see clearly the stuff going on, and then we say, oh, all this story happens around it. I think it's very important to again and again remind ourselves of these. The sign of what guna predominates your mind. This was a huge topic in chapter 2. You know, you see, look at the kind of thoughts that move through in the journey of meditation. Or when you're just sitting, feeling some piece of music for a moment, you transcend. And then at some level, you come back into a stream of thoughts, the connected thoughts. What are they about? This tells you the state of mind and the type of impressions that are still held in there. And you have to own it. And what we do, what we somehow find a way, because we don't have the courage. Gurudev really spoke about it, though it was chapter 2, some of that thing, he really spoke about it even today. You need strength, you need courage to find a way to own to it and to move towards it and to act with it, saying, okay, this is there. In your will, to the best I can, I move with it. Because if not, you come back again. And I just 2 days ago, there was an amazing video, reel floating around, where he starts with, oh, it's fascinating how karma works, long before marriage. Did you all see this? Divorce, this and that, it's already written it's already happened in the subtle. Did you all see this? No? If I find it, I play it next time for you, okay? It's brilliant. He's talking about, marriage, divorce, jobs, whatever it is, how it's already played itself out in the subtle. It's very interesting. You can't escape. Prarabdha cannot be escaped. Do you know what a guru gives us? The resilience to embrace the prasad, up or down, to embrace it. Because law of karma doesn't free us. Law of karma is this. You do dharma, you get merit. And merit gives you sukha, happiness. Yes? You do adharma, consciously play mischief. Of course, to the degree that you have played mischief, intentionally, negligently, recklessly, innocently, mistakenly, all actions, all thought, all things carry some degree of merit or demerit. So you do adharma, you get demerits. Papa, as actually it is said. Papa means difficulties. And so that brings dukkha, pain, sadness. That's the law of karma, action. Law of action is this. Good action, which follows with intention and so on, you get good merit, punya, therefore you'll get sukha in life. And when that runs out, something else comes. And when that runs out, something else comes. It's all prasadi. Don't indulge in the sukha, I did it. All you did is turn the stove on and the dal cooked itself. All you did is put the seed in the soil and the seed became an apple or a banana, whatever it was. It moved within its law of nature. You were simply a nimit, an instrument to turn the knob so the dal cooks, so that whoever had to be fed got fed. And you were a nimit for that seed to plant it and put it in, and then sprouted a tree and a banana came from it, so that the monkey that had to eat and the human that had to eat it and the bird that had to sit on it, all could happen. Just like we're an instrument to the service and the knowledge and whatever it is that we do, but we hold it so tight. That brings us papa or punya. Yes? Okay. Good? Remember where we were, Mala? It's 7:20 already. Any questions that are burning you, or you're good, right? Okay. Let's close our eyes just for a moment. Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharyamathyamam Asmat Shri Guru Paryantam Vande 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 Guru Paramparam. Just a simple prayer. Let thy will be done. All that comes to me is prasad from you. Give me the strength to embrace it with a smile. In your will, in your glory, Jai Gurudev.